When you grill your vegetables with just salt and pepper, the opportunities for flavor are endless, and this is how you really make your vegetables taste good. What's up, everybody? Happy New Year, and welcome to the first 2025 episode of the BBQ Tips Podcast. For those of you who don't know me, I'm your host, Christie Vanover. I'm a champion pitmaster, I'm a cookbook author, the girl behind one of America's top barbecue websites, girlscangrill.com, and I've appeared on the Food Network's Barbecue Brawl. I'm here to bring you some quick barbecue tips to help you up your barbecue game. When it comes to January, we may not all be thinking about going outside and grilling, but a lot of us are thinking about eating healthy. You know, those New Year's resolutions. What can we do to make food that's healthy taste a little bit better? Well, today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how I make vegetables taste better, and of course, I use my grill. Let's get started with my favorite vegetables to grill. There's obviously an array of vegetables when you go to the vegetable aisle. And while I could say you can probably pretty much grill everything, there are some that are definitely my favorites. For instance, I'm not gonna grill up celery or a cucumber or something along those lines. There's other vegetables that taste fabulous on the grill. I like to start with summer squashes. I know it's winter, you're thinking, why are you going with summer squashes? But no matter the season, you can always find zucchini, yellow squash, and even eggplant in your vegetable aisle. Those taste fantastic on the grill, and they can absorb the flavor profiles for any type of cuisine that you're cooking up that night. My other favorites are mushrooms. You can get the big portobello mushrooms, the baby bellas, just regular cremini mushrooms. There's such a variety of mushrooms, and once you put them on the grill and they just really absorb that flavor of the char and really just start to moisten up, they are so good. Almost a meat replacement if you're trying to do like a meatless Mondays for the new year. Peppers and onions are always fantastic on the grill because it really brings out their sugars. You can also do those on your griddle if you like to do a little bit of saute action, a little bit of fajita action. We're going to talk about how to prep all your veggies in the upcoming steps. And since it's winter, we can't forget the winter squashes. Those are going to be like your acorn squash and your butternut squash. Those taste great on the grill too. They just require a little bit more work to get the great flavor out of them. And then you can't forget some of the other green vegetables like bok choy, asparagus, even broccolini. So we're going to dive in on how to grill all of these, and again, I'm going to give you tips on how to make them taste fantastic. Once you pick up your vegetables from the grocery store, it's important that you wash them, and then we need to cut them and prep them properly for the grill. The reason for that is because you want the vegetable to have as much surface area as possible on the grill, because that's going to create the best flavor. It's going to really caramelize it, bringing out the vegetable's natural sugars. So let's start with those summer squash, those zucchini, eggplant, and the yellow squash. For those, you can cut them a couple of different ways. You can just cut them and slice them into like 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick slices. I will say with the eggplant, I like to do that because eggplant is big, so you get some really nice medallions. But when it comes to yellow squash or zucchini, they're a more thin vegetable, so if you do the slices into medallions, they're kind of tiny to put on your grill, and then you run the risk of them slipping through your grill grate. So instead of slicing them into medallions, I like to cut one end off and then stand it up vertically so it's kind of stable, and then I slice vertically down it, so I've got these longer strips. And again, cut them a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch thick. If you do a 1/2 inch, you're gonna get 3, maybe 4 slices out of each squash. If you go a little bit thinner, you'll get a little bit more. But that way you get this beautiful long surface area when you put it on the grill. When it comes to bell peppers, you can either leave them whole and just throw the whole thing on the grill and then char it on all sides, or you can actually cut it in half, maybe remove the stem, remove the seeds, and then grill it that way. And that way you're getting the inside charred as well as the outside. Either way works great. For onions, I like to slice it. Make sure you go in the direction where the rings stay together. Take the outer skin off of your onion, and then a little trick I like is I take toothpicks and I insert those into the onion so that all those rings stay together. Because once you put it on the grill, it's going to kind of start to shrink, and when you flip it, the rings could fall apart and then they could fall into your grill grate. But if you stick like 1, maybe 2 toothpicks in through those rings, it's going to stay together beautifully. When it comes to winter squash, those are a little bit more challenging because the squash themselves are so hard and the skins are so hard. So what I like to do is pierce them a little bit with a fork and then put it in the microwave for like 30 to 60 seconds, just so it softens a bit, and then I go ahead and slice them. There's no right or wrong way to slice your winter squash. You can do those in medallions, scoop out the seeds, you can do them vertically, you can do them into wedges, whatever is convenient for you. And you don't even have to take the skin off, because once you cook them, you can actually just cook them with the skin on, and then when you eat them, you can just kind of peel that flesh of the squash right out of the skin. Or with some squashes, like delicata squash, you can actually eat the skin itself, because it's delicate. When it comes to vegetables like carrots or parsnips, corn on the cob, even broccolini, you don't even have to worry about cutting them. You can take the ends of the stems off if you want to on the carrots and parsnips, but usually I just throw those straight on the grill and get them cooking. If you do have asparagus though, I do recommend cutting about an inch, sometimes 2 inches off of the bottom of the asparagus stalks. That's because those ends on the bottom there are gonna be a little bit woody and they're gonna be a little bit more tough to chew. So cut off at least an inch of that, and then it'll be ready for the grill. And last but not least, I wanna mention that bok choy again. So baby bok choy is basically a little cabbage that's about 4 inches long. It has a bulb on the end, kind of like you would picture maybe romaine lettuce, if you're familiar with how there's like a core on the bottom and then all the leaves go up. With baby bok choy, I do recommend cutting that in half. The reason for that is because the inside may have some soil in there from when it was growing. So I like to cut it in half and then rinse it under some cool water, make sure I get all the sand or soil out of it, and then I go ahead and grill those up. When it comes to grilling your vegetables, the first thing you're gonna need to do is to season them. I like to start with either olive oil or avocado oil, and I just drizzle that all over my freshly cleaned and sliced vegetables. If you wanna keep things basic, just use kosher salt and black pepper. But if you really wanna liven your vegetables up, I recommend using my chicken rub. Speaking of my rubs, for those of you who don't know, I have a brisket rub, chicken rub, and pork rub. And my chicken rub is obviously great on chicken, but it's fabulous on all veggies as well. You can find all of my rubs on my website at shop.girlscangrill.com, and they are now available on Amazon. So if you search on Amazon and just look for Girls Can Grill, you're gonna find all of these on Amazon as well, so I can get them shipped to you as quickly as possible. The only time I'm not using my chicken rub on vegetables is when I wanna keep things just kind of plain, seasoned, beautifully tasting, but plain. That way, after they're grilled, if I wanna do some meal planning, I can add different flavorings afterwards when I create different dishes. Maybe I'm in the mood for Italian, maybe I'm in the mood for Mexican. I can add those different spices later because I've only seasoned it with salt and pepper. All right, your veggies are cleaned, they're sliced, they're seasoned, they are ready for the grill. Let's get that grill ready. You're gonna wanna set your grill to high heat. If you're using a charcoal kettle grill, that means you're gonna light your coals, you're gonna let them ash over, you're gonna spread them out and get them in your grill and place your grill grate right on top. We want high direct heat, which means that you're gonna put your vegetables on the grill grate straight over those hot coals. I like to hold my hand over the charcoal for maybe like 3 to 4 seconds, then I know I'm at a really good heat. If you have a different style charcoal grill, like maybe a ceramic cooker like a Big Green Egg or Kamado Joe, for that you don't need to add your diffuser plate. Just go ahead and get your coals in there and then adjust your vents so that the temperature of your grill is around 375 to 400 degrees. Once it reaches that temperature, same thing, you can add your veggies right to the grill grate. Pellet grills are super easy. Obviously, all you have to do is push some buttons, set that temperature to 400, and then your grill will be ready once it's preheated to add your vegetables. When it comes to a gas grill, just turn on your propane or natural gas and then turn the burners on. You can turn on 1 or 2 or 3 depending on how many vegetables you're cooking up at the moment, and then close the lid and use that thermometer that should be built into the lid of your grill and adjust the dials until that temperature reaches around 375 to 400. Once your grill is preheated, I highly recommend that you give it a good clean. You can either use a grill brush or you can take a ball of foil and just kind of rub that along the grill grates. And then I like to oil my grill grates. You can either do that by putting some oil on a paper towel and use some tongs and then just kind of brush it along, or you can use canned cooking spray. Just be very, very careful. Because it's flammable, you just want to do little squirts of it, because if you hold it down too long, the heat can actually catch fire to that flame. So it's a little bit risky. Just do a little couple squirts just to get your grill grate nice and ready. Or if you want, you can just put your oil in a regular squirt bottle, not an aerosol squirt bottle, and that's a little bit easier too. But once you have clean, oiled grill grates, your grill is at the right temperature, then you can add your vegetables to the grill. Grill time for vegetables ranges. Sometimes it can be ready in 8 to 10 minutes. Some of those harder vegetables like carrots or winter squash, they may take closer to like 15 to 20 minutes. The main thing is you want to add your vegetables to the grill with that large surface area that we created when we sliced it onto the grill grate. Then just let them cook. You can kind of peek at them. You want to start to see that char, and what's going to happen when they're charring is the top of the vegetable that's facing you is actually going to start to glisten because there's natural moisture and the sugars are really starting to activate with that heat, and so that's what you're looking for. Then once you get a nice caramelization or char on the bottom, you can flip them over and cook the other side, again looking for that same char. When it comes to summer squashes, like the zucchini and the yellow squash, I try not to overcook it because after you take it off the grill and you let it set, it's going to continue to cook, and if you overcook it, it's going to get mushy. So I like there to be a little bit of toothiness and texture still to my zucchini and yellow squash, so I keep an eye on those and I like them to still be a little bit firm to the touch. But when I'm cooking vegetables like winter squash, like acorn squash or butternut squash, I do like those to be super soft and tender so they just kind of melt in your mouth. So just judge your timing based on the char that you're getting and then also kind of the tenderness of the vegetable itself. If you're cooking a winter squash, you can use a fork to just kind of pierce it, and if your fork goes in smoothly, then you know that it's ready. When it comes to things like onions and peppers and mushrooms even, really all you're really looking for is just that char and for it to get nice and tender. In an earlier tip, we talked about slicing the vegetables so that they're large and have good surface area so they don't fall through the grill grates. Well, you don't necessarily want to put a big slab of vertical zucchini on a plate. So once you take your vegetables off the grill, now's the time to cut them again. Let them rest just a little bit in a bowl or on a pan, and then go ahead and put them on your cutting board and with a sharp knife, cut them into more bite-sized pieces. At this point, you can either serve them up right away or you can save them for later. And that's what I love to do. I love having vegetable grilling days where I just grill up all sorts of vegetables. Then once I take them off the grill, I slice them up, and then you have a couple of options. You can either mix them all together in a big bowl and make a medley of veggies and then store them in your refrigerator, or you can just store them individually in their own containers. What's awesome about pre-grilling vegetables, especially when you're trying to do healthy eating, is that they're already ready for you. You can eat them cold, you can eat them warm, it doesn't matter, but you can just run to the fridge. They're gonna stay good in there for like 4 to 5 days with no problem. And then when you pull them out, there are so many things that you can do with your grilled vegetables. When you grill your vegetables with just salt and pepper, the opportunities for flavor are endless. And this is how you really make your vegetables taste good. Once your vegetables are off the grill, now's the time to really add some flavor. There are so many options that you can do to add flavor to your vegetables without adding too many calories. One of my favorite things to do is to add a little bit of acid, like some balsamic vinegar or a squeeze of lemon juice. And sometimes I'll even add just a touch of olive oil and maybe another pinch of salt. And that's beautiful because the natural sugars competing with the acid that you added, it just makes for a beautiful bite. If you want those vegetables to complement an Asian dish, go ahead and add on a sprinkle of soy sauce and maybe just a little dash of sesame oil, and that's really going to make the flavor shine. Or if you want to go a little bit spicy, maybe do a Mexican dish, you can sprinkle on some taco seasoning or maybe a couple dashes of hot sauce, and you've really transformed this variety of grilled vegetables into multiple meals that you can have throughout the week. Now let's talk about those meals, because obviously you're not going to want to have like your steak with the same vegetables, your chicken with the same vegetables. No, we're going to make these vegetables different. Take those vegetables, sure, you can serve them as a side with your protein, or you can put them on a salad so you can enjoy them cold for lunch. You could mix them in pasta and make a beautiful pasta salad, or even a hot pasta dish. Just take a jar of marinara with some pasta sauce and your grilled vegetables, and you've just livened up dinner and made it even more rich, especially if you're grilling up some mushrooms and onions. Fantastic Italian dish. Or how about making a restaurant style burger? Go ahead and grill up your burgers and then take those grilled onions, peppers, and mushrooms, pile them on the burger with a slice of cheese, let that melt down, and you've got yourself a perfect burger with the same vegetables that you maybe used for your lunch salad or your pasta salad. Other things you can do is throw them in wraps, throw them on sandwiches, like a nice Philly cheesesteak with some onions that are already grilled up. Again, huge time savers because you grilled everything in advance. I also love to add grilled vegetables to my breakfast dishes. You can scramble eggs and throw in some zucchini, throw in some squash, or you can make a quick frittata. Just take a pie tin, layer in some of those grilled vegetables that you've already cooked up, sprinkle in some cheese, and then beat up some egg with some milk and pour that right on top. Then you can either throw it on a grill or throw it in your oven and just let it bake. Voila, breakfast is ready. Again, same grilled vegetables, used so many different ways. That's it, guys. I hope these barbecue tips have been helpful for you and will help you meet your goal of getting healthy vegetables into your meal planning this January. We're going to continue our healthy grilling season next week, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you are listening to this on iTunes, be sure to hit that download button so that I know you guys are tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, please visit my website, girlscangrill.com. You're going to find thousands of barbecue tips and hundreds of barbecue recipes on my site. And please follow me on all the socials at Girls Can Grill. And if you have any questions, as always, leave a comment, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Until next time, guys, Happy New Year and happy grilling.